Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the podcast, the Drafted Up podcast. We're back after a 1 week absence. Wasn't able to get that second recording in. Had a lot going on with our home league drafts this past week. But we're back here on this beautiful Tuesday afternoon. That's Nick. I'm Theo. This is the Drafted Up podcast. You know where to find us. Anywhere you listen or watch your podcasts, Apple, Spotify, YouTube, wherever else. Just search Drafted Up Podcast. We're there. Like, rate, subscribe, review, share, all that good stuff. Today, we're going to finally do the NFC West, but we're really not going to focus a ton on the fantasy stuff because at this point, you've all probably drafted, so our fantasy advice on said players is pretty irrelevant. We'll predict the division, all that stuff. We will give you our NFC playoff teams, and then we will give you our Super Bowl prediction, and then we're going to talk real football, Thursday night football, and Friday night football. We will preview those games. Nicholas, how are you doing today?
Oh, doing good, dude. Doing good. A couple of days removed or out of football. We're close, dude. Thursday's right around the corner. We got a great game, hopefully. And then Friday's the game I'm really excited for. Chiefs Chargers in Brazil. I'm hyped, dude. Football's here. Our last weekend was spent doing a ton of our drafts. Yeah. We had 3 or 4 drafts. Our buddy Merck, who was on the podcast for episode 100, he came in early, came in on Thursday. So we were just hyped. We were diving deep in the drafts. I was exhausted yesterday. Thank God it was Labor Day, so I had the day off. Man,
You had the day off.
I said, me. Thank God. But I needed that day, dude. I was absolutely exhausted after all those drafts.
Yeah, we did our home league, Ziffle. We did the Drafted Up Listener League. Sunday, we did the Megla Bowl that's hosted by fellow fantasy podcast of fantasy footballers. It was like a 20,000 team league. We had that draft Sunday morning. We have a draft tonight.
Yep. Our last draft, Tuesday. Unless I enter a random league here before the league starts.
It's a buddy's family league. So yeah, busy time. So let's.
I had a draft Sunday night, I think it was, and I forgot about it. And I had to do it in the movie theater during Roses And I'm like, damn, thank God I'm sitting up here in the back by myself because I'm always in the back row off to the corner so I can vape and whatnot. But I was lucky to be there up there by myself because I had to draft in a movie theater, and I'm happy with my team, man. I'm pretty happy with it.
Yeah. For the most part, I'm pretty good with the teams I churned out here
for sure. Yeah,
this past week. All right. A lot of news happened since the last time we recorded.
A ton of news.
The biggest being...
We picked a bad Thursday to miss.
Yeah.
Right before draft
it's
weekend.
Just like a matter of trying to remember everything. The biggest news was the Green Bay Packers traded for Dallas Cowboys edge rusher Micah Parsons, and they paid him. 2 first-round picks and Kenny Clark, who's a pretty good defensive tackle, which Dallas seems to always need. So they filled a need there with him, but obviously, he's not going to fill the loss of Micah Parsons. And what this does for fantasy, at least for Dallas, I think it kind of elevates the offensive guys. Dallas' defense is a bottom 5 unit when Micah Parsons isn't out there. And they extended Deron Bland. Why didn't you just use that money to pay Micah? That is what it is.
Yeah.
Classic Jerry Jones. But to me, this elevates Dak Prescott. It elevates George Pickens, CeeDee Lamb, even Jake Ferguson, who I'm a little lower on the consensus. I bumped him up a little bit after the news. Still indifferent on those running backs. They didn't see any sort of bump from my end. But yeah, it makes me excited for the Cowboys offense for fantasy, and this still just kind of makes me feel Dallas is just going to be a train wreck this year. It honestly wouldn't surprise me if they finish in last place, if you guys overtake them.
I would agree to that statement now. I didn't think there was a chance the Giants wouldn't finish in last place. Now I would say there's a chance they don't finish in last place with Dallas as well. Their defense is going to be like historically bad to where the Giants are going to have a really good defense, but a rough offense. So we're almost the opposite teams, and any NFL defense wins championships. So I can definitely see the Giants outperforming Dallas per se. But man, I'm already in love with Dak Prescott, CeeDee Lamb, and George Pickens, and Jake Ferguson. I loved all 4 of those guys before the Parsons trade. I'm even in more now on them, and to go overdraft them if you still don't have your drafts. Go out, get Dallas's offense, dude. They're in the same spot as Joe Burrow and the Bengals this year, so they're going to be competing just based off their offense.
Yep, for sure. And then from Green Bay's standpoint,
Josh Jacobs, baby.
Yeah, big improvement for the defense, obviously, for real life. This helps Josh Jacobs. This team's going to be winning games, and they're going to want to run the ball, drain out the clock.
Yep.
Kind of hurts Jordan Love a bit, but I'm still in on Jordan Love as a fantasy option, but where I had him at like QB 11 or 12, I might bump him down now to like 13 or 14, but I still think he's in a range where you could comfortably start him. But this is better for Josh Jacobs and the Packers rushing attack.
Yep. Yeah, I agree. And I think it's going to be the kind of team that they want to be, because like Reed, he's got the Jones fracture in his foot, so he's not going to be 100% for probably most of the season. Golden's a rookie. I think Romeo Doubs should be drafted now in pretty much every single league, because he could be the Packers' #1 receiver come the end of the season.
Yeah, and Christian Watson's not going to be out there to start the year. He's going to be on PUP, and I think Tucker Kraft also. He's in play as just a lock-in starting tight end for your roster as well.
For sure. I think he's got a lot of huge touchdown upside this year. Being Tucker Kraft, like for sure.
700 yards last year, 7 touchdowns. I think that's definitely in the ballpark again. Gabe Davis signed to the Bills practice squad.
Cool.
Doesn't really. If anything, this might be Josh Palmer might be on his way out, but I don't think it hurts Keon Coleman or Khalil Shakir whatsoever.
Yeah, it doesn't change the room much. If anything, it's Palmer. They don't like Palmer, so they just brought back Gabe the Babe. Yep. So it doesn't do anything fantasy-wise for me at all.
The Panthers brought back Hunter Renfrow after Jalen Coker went on IR. Jalen Coker is going to miss 4 to 6 weeks. He was going to take over the slot role because the Panthers finally traded Adam Thielen to the Minnesota Vikings. So
back home.
Yeah, Hunter Renfrow, he might have some spot start here and there early on. We'll see if he plays the Thielen role and he's just the comfort weapon for Bryce Young. But I think it's a bump up for Teteroa McMillan. Maybe Xavier Leggett's a little more playable. I still think with Jalen Coker,
I think it helps Leggett the most.
And I think when Coker gets back, I think he's going to be involved heavily. Like I think he's a guy you should stash on your IR if you have IR spots.
It's looking like 4 to 6 weeks with his injury. I think it helps Leggett more than it helps Tet. Tet's already set in my eyes. To where now I think Leggett has some flexible room to like be on a roster late rounds. Hunter Renfrow, I would only look if you're playing full point PPR. If you're doing half, don't even look his way. None, obviously. It's not worth it. But just a guy to keep in mind. I wouldn't have him on a roster right now, but if he hits week 1, obviously scoop him up.
Yeah. And then Adam Thielen back home with Minnesota. I think Thielen's a great flex play for the first 3 weeks while Addison's out. Thielen works out in the offseason with J.J. McCarthy, so they have rapport. One of my favorite strategies would be if you haven't drafted or if Thielen's out there on your free agents, if you have Jordan Addison, snag him up because you have a guy you can just lock in and play for Jordan Addison comfortably. So, but I even think going forward, Thielen will have occasional spot start flex play when Addison's back, but early on, I think he could be a important piece for your fantasy team if Minnesota's going to be passing the ball.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. I think Addison, Thielen's really flexible until Addison comes back, and after that, I wouldn't start him Addison's first week back. I would give it a break with Thielen just to see how the offense goes, see how involved Addison's going to be, and take it from there. But I think once Addison comes back, it's just going to kind of be very streaky for Thielen, but I love Thielen the first couple weeks of the season.
Yep. Kyle Hamilton got extended by Baltimore. They paid him one of the best safeties, if not the best safety in football, for a reasonable price, 4 years, $100 million. Good for them. Baltimore, obviously, he's the focal point of that defense when he was.
Yeah, they know what they're doing.
When he was able to be moved around last year, that defense took a step up compared to when they just had him playing set safety. Jabril Peppers, another safety, he was released by the Patriots. Someone will pick him up at some point. And then the final 2 big bits of news, Jalen Warren signed a 2-year extension with Pittsburgh. So he is the starting running back on the depth chart as of now, whereas Caleb Johnson, who we love, he's currently listed as 3rd behind Kenneth Gainwell, which I expected because that's how it was on their initial depth chart. I don't think Caleb Johnson's going to be back there too long. And then this is good for Jaylen Warren, though. If you have him in like dynasty purposes, now he's in Pittsburgh for at least the next 3 years.
Yeah, for sure. I think it really helps Warren's dynasty upside. He's a locked in. He's going to be a part of the offense, even if he's not the starter for the next 3 years. So I'm cool with Warren in dynasty and in redrafts. I like him a lot this year. He's going to be on the field. He's the best pass blocking back they have. I'm not worried about Kenny Gainwell, but Warren's going to be on the field a whole bunch this whole season.
Yeah. We know Arthur Smith wants to run multiple running backs, so it makes sense
5 tight ends.
They locked in Jaylen Warren here. And then finally, Rashee Rice in the NFL, they came upon an agreement for a suspension. He is going to be suspended for the first 6 games of the year, which we expected. So in those first 6 games, I think Travis Kelce, Xavier Worthy are huge targets. Sure. If you have them, I think you just lock them in your lineup. Kelce, you're probably locking in anyways. Worthy, though, you could comfortably play him for those first 6 weeks. When Rice was out last year towards the end of the year, Xavier Worthy was the best player on this offense.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure. It's huge for Worthy. I was higher on Kelce per se. I think Kelce's locked and loaded regardless of what happens. But Worthy out there being the only reliable wide receiver for Patrick Mahomes, he's going to have a monster start the first couple weeks, and I'm excited to see how he handles the workload and how they get him involved, to see if it's still manufactured touches or if they're actually letting him run a route tree, have 5, 6, 7 different routes, and it's just not, oh, here's a screen to Worthy, oh, here's a go route, here's a screen, here's a go route. I want to see more versatility in his route tree, get him out there, be a more involved receiver and not a more playmaker kind of guy, be an actual wide receiver.
Yeah, I do believe there is a world where Xavier Worthy is actually just the best receiver in the Chiefs room, even when Rice gets back. Like, the Rice sample size last year was really just 3 games and a little bit of the year before, coming off the knee injury. At least this year, like, it wouldn't surprise me that I've said that before. Xavier Worthy could be the top fantasy option here in Kansas City, even with Rashee Rice on the field. So we'll see how his development happens there.
I think overall points Worthy's going to have him beat, obviously, because he's got 6 games on Rice. But I think points per game, they're going to be very close. I got a good amount of Worthy now because of the drafts over the weekend. So I'm honestly more in on Worthy than I've ever been. I'm just forcing myself in. So
yeah. Okay. NFC West.
Eric Ayumaner named starter in Tennessee. Yes. That's also a bit of news.
Yes, rookie receiver Eric Ayumaner. Stanford kid. We were a little lower on in the process than consensus, but he
Merck loves him, our buddy.
Yeah, Merck does love him, but he ended up being drafted where we had him sort of on our board. So, he will be starting over Van Jefferson in Tennessee, which he probably should have anyways, because Van Jefferson's just a cardio god. But this is good for Ayumaner's
for sure.
development, and I would imagine DK, who they drafted a couple spots before him. I think they ended up going in the same round. I imagine DK will end up taking over the 3rd role from Tyler Lockett at some point, and we'll see DK, Ridley, and Ayumaner sort of down the stretch for Tennessee when they're probably not going to make a playoff run or be in playoff contention.
Yeah.
So stretch run, those are names to keep an eye on.
For sure. That and Quinshot Judkins being reported that he could rejoin the team as early as this week. So
he's got to sign.
We'll see what happens there. Well, that's what he means, signing. And if he does, it's going to be a 3 to 6 game suspension. It's still going to happen regardless.
Yeah.
The NFL is most likely going to hand that out, and domestic violence is usually towards the 6 games. So we'll see what happens.
I'm leaning 3 just because he wasn't found guilty and everything was dropped. So I would expect it to be under the 6. But yeah, he's a name to keep an eye on. I would still roster him in 12-team leagues for sure. Just kind of stash on it. Sure. And if you could snag Sampson or Jerome Ford, those guys are worth picking up as well.
Yep. Yeah, I agree. Yeah, I think Judkins is going to have, because even if it is 6 games, and then he can't practice with the team, obviously, so it's going to have another 2 weeks probably added on to that to get full, the ball rolling. But come week 9, you're making a playoff push. And if you have Judkins, week 9, 10, 11, 12, and then you make the playoffs, that's still 5-6 weeks of Quinshot Judkins.
Fresh legs.
Who I'm extremely high on. Yeah, I love Judkins. He's worth having on a team for sure.
Yeah. All right. Let's go through the NFC West, shall we? Our final division. All right. Last year, the Los Angeles Rams won the West at 10-7. They were really the only team in the playoffs who gave the Super Bowl champion Philadelphia Eagles a fit. Yep. Their current win total is set at
I would say 9.5.
10.5.
10.5?
Yeah.
Nice.
Which is a little surprising with the Stafford unknown in the back, but Sean McVay has come out. He's starting, so he's good to go. Obviously, if he's out there, Puka Nacua, Devontae Adams, they are viable options in fantasy and real life. They will cause a terror. Kyron Williams, who's locked in as the starter, re-signed and everything, and there's been some talks that Blake Corum's going to be more involved this year, but I feel the Rams are always saying that, so I'll believe it when I see it with them. But really, from a fantasy standpoint, easy team to predict, which we love. It's the running back, Kyron,
very similar to Philly,
and the two receivers. And keep an eye on Terrence Ferguson. Maybe he's more involved down the end of the year. Tyler Higbee might have, plug and play availability. He's always involved, but he's not someone you can comfortably plug and play. But matchup base, maybe. So, but I expect the Rams to be, contending for this division. There's a really good football team, really young defense. Jared Verse, Brandon Fisk, the staples of the defense there. Even after losing Eric Donald, those guys stepped in and have performed. So the Rams don't worry me too much unless Matt Stafford is actually hurt, and then Jimmy Garoppolo or Stetson Bennett. Then I'm way out on LA.
They're doomed.
But if Stafford's out there, even at 75%, this is a playoff football team.
Yeah, I agree, and that's going to be the big thing, and it's going to be every single week. Oh, is Stafford going this week? Is Stafford healthy? Is he good to go on Sunday? As long as Stafford is out there, exactly like you said, even 75, hopefully a little bit healthier, I'm 100% in on the Rams. I love the Rams. I know we see one of the other teams in this division a little bit differently. I think there's only real two teams that can contend for the division, and I think the Rams are one of them. And they got a phenomenal offense, one of the best head coaches in football, an up-and-coming young defense with a lot of talent, a lot of high draft picks. I love the Rams, dude. And Stafford's a dog, dude. So at the end of the day, he's going to be out there playing his hardest, however hard that is, but he's going to be trying. So give me the Rams most Sundays for sure.
Yeah, the team that we differ on is actually going to be the team we talk about next. They finished second last year, and that is the Seattle Seahawks. Same record, 10-7, and a surprising 7-1 on the road last year. Their win total is set at 8.5. New quarterback, Geno Smith, obviously out of town. They brought in Sam Darnold. They fired Ryan Grubb, who, this team went 10-7, but they got rid of their offensive coordinator. They brought in Clint Kubiak as well to replace him. And I love Mike Macdonald as a head coach. And this is my base. I think Seattle is going to have an elite defending defense. And I think that is why this is a playoff football team. The line, I get it, it's bad. But
it's atrocious.
The Saints line was supposed to be atrocious last year with Kubiak there, and that was a middle of the pack unit. If he could get the Seahawks line to middle of the pack, that's going to be good enough. They got weapons on offense. Ken Walker, Zach Charbonnet, Jackson Smith-Njigba, who we love. Cooper Kupp's there. He'll have weeks, but he's not someone who excites me. They have Elijah Arroyo, who you figure is going to be involved towards the end of the year. The weapons and the pieces are there for
I like
Sam
Torrey Horton
Darnold.
as well.
Yeah, Torrey Horton, starting wide receiver on the outside. I'm just really in. And the last week or two, I've just really just gotten in on Seattle. I think a lot of it's going to be carried by this defense. Mike Macdonald was with Baltimore. They had an elite unit. Mm-hmm. I think the offense will be good enough. And Sam Darnold, he's not going to be what he did in Minnesota. But what if he is? What if Kubiak is a similar system to the Shanahan stuff? What if that is? And Sam Darnold puts up another 30 touchdowns and 8 interceptions. And if that offense is a top 15 unit and the defense is a top 5 unit, you're looking at a team that is contending for this division. And I think the pieces are there for them to do so.
I love their defense. I do. And I love a lot of their offense. I agree. But what I do not love is the 5 men protecting Sam Darnold. And that's what really matters to me. PFF has their offensive line right now ranked at 30 going into the season. So that's almost dead last. And it's only higher than the Cincinnati Bengals, who O-line is terrible, and the Houston Texans, who blew up their offensive line for poor CJ Stroud this year. So I'm terrified, excuse me, that their O-line isn't going to be able to keep Darnold up. And that's when Darnold has historically struggled constantly with New York and Carolina. His O-lines could not keep him up, and he can't read pressure that well. And that's what this team is going to go as far as Sam Darnold goes in. With those 5 guys in front of him, I don't think it goes that far, to be honest. But like I said earlier, our defense wins championships, and they're going to have a really good defense. I just don't know if their offense is going to be able to keep up with it just based off their O-line. I get they added Gray Zabel, who I loved coming out, but that's not enough, dude. Their whole interior line scares the hell out of me, and once you get to Darnold, he's frazzled, and it's a wrap. It's done. He can't complete passes. He's not a guy that can instantly forget about his mistakes. I think it's just going to be very easy to rattle Sam Darnold this year.
Yeah, and that's plausible. Darnold, same sack rate in his career as Geno Smith, which everyone kind of sees it as a downgrade, but I think they're similar in terms of players like. And Seattle's offense is going to be run through the running attack. In their last 8 games last year, Seattle was 13th in the league in rushing yards per carry. That was a little around 4.5, but they barely ran the ball. They were almost bottom 5 in the league in rushing attempts. So Kubiak is really good at scheming things and making things better for the line. And even if they, just like I said, if they can take this unit from bottom 5 to middle of the pack, that is a big upstart. And if they can control the clock and run the ball, if Ken Walker's effective, and he's effective when he's healthy, and Charbonnet is effective when he's in there for Ken Walker, I trust the running attack and Kubiak to make this a point where the offense is fine enough to carry them to 10, 11 wins.
Yeah,
I also think Mike Macdonald is an incredible head coach.
I do think he's a good coach. I don't see him winning that many games with their O-line. Darnold's going to be pressured so much this year. He's going to be top 5 in pressures. I think they're a 6-7 win team. I don't think they're going to be doing much in my eyes.
Okay.
I'm also not high on Ken Walker like you are. I don't expect much of him. I'm also not high on Charbonnet, but I would take Charbonnet, to be honest. If we're taking a guy that's more consistent, Ken Walker's just never out there. Bothers the hell out of me.
I'm still below consensus on Ken Walker, but when he's out there, I think he is a top 12 running back. That's just a big if with him.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. Yeah. He can be it, but especially with this set of O-line, I don't know how effective he's going to be even when he's healthy, to be honest.
Yeah. Yeah, I think a big part of Seattle's O-line issues last year, Charles Cross wasn't out there, and he was a top 10 pick at left tackle. Lakeland Tomlinson's terrible. He's not there anymore. He was replaced by Gray Zabel. Abe Lucas was also hurt. So I think injuries played a bigger part in that than how effective that team was. Also, I just didn't like the schematics that Ryan Grubb was putting out there, whereas Clint Kubiak, I think, is like a legitimate NFL offensive coordinator where Ryan Grubb is not.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, they definitely upgraded coaches in that aspect. I agree, but yeah, I don't think they upgraded that O-line near enough to protect Sam Darnold. I like Geno way more than I like Darnold. I don't think they're that comparable. I think Geno could carry a team without a great O-line. I think Darnold, even the middle of the pack O-line, is not good enough to carry Darnold in my eyes.
Yeah. Arizona, they were 8-9. They finished 3rd in the division last year. Their win total is set at, this is not alphabetized, where the hell are they? 8.5.
I would assume it's pretty close, yeah.
Same as Seattle.
What they won.
Arizona was my darling team last year. I was in love with all the pieces, and I still love Trey McBride. I like where Marvin Harrison's going. I think he's a great value. I think the defense is going to be better. I like Gannon as a defensive coach. They brought in Josh Sweat.
Mm-hmm.
I just don't trust Kyler Murray enough anymore to make this a team that's going to compete. I think he is I don't think he's good enough to be a franchise quarterback anymore.
We see these teams very similar to how like I see Seattle and you see Arizona. I don't think there would be a time out of 10 I would take Darnold over Kyler Murray.
I'm not taking Darnold over Kyler Murray, but I don't think Kyler...
I think the teams are just as talented as each other, though. I think Arizona's just as talented as Seattle. And Kyler Murray blows Sam Darnold out of the water. So in my eyes, I think Arizona's a way more put-together team than Seattle is.
I like Seattle's defense a lot more than I like Arizona. I think Arizona's defense will be fine, but I don't think they're to the level of Seattle's, and I think the offenses are closer. Arizona, I probably might be top 12. I think Seattle's offense is top 17. So I think the gap offensively is smaller than the gap defensively for both teams.
I could see that. I just think Marv, I would take over JSN in real football fantasy. I'd probably take JSN. Trey McBride, I would take over anyone on Seattle's offense.
Agree.
James Conner is a better version of Walker. Ken Walker. They're literally in both injury-prone running backs. I would just take Conner over Walker. And I would take Arizona's line. I would take Kyler Murray, like I said, 10 out of 10 times over Darnold. He can make things happen when there is no O-line in front of him because of his athleticism.
There's the problem. He doesn't always want to do that.
That doesn't matter. Even a half-assed Kyler Murray is still way more efficient behind a bad offensive line than Sam Darnold, trying at his hardest.
Yeah. I don't know. Arizona, they just feel like a middle-of-the-pack team, whereas I trust...
I totally agree.
I think
they're 8 or 9 win teams.
I trust the coaching and the defense in Seattle to push them over, even if offensively they are middle of the pack, whereas I don't think Arizona's defense can do that.
I think their defense will be fine enough to where Seattle's offense I don't think is going to be fine enough. I like Arizona's offense, though, a lot for fantasy. I like Connor a lot. I like Trey. Trey McBride, I love. I even like Kyler Murray. He's fine.
Everyone, Marv, Trey, James Conner, they're all values in my eyes where they're going. Like I'm content. I'm fine taking a late second on Trey McBride. I like Marvin Harrison in the 3rd to 4th round range. I like James Conner in the 4th to 5th round range. Even Murray, who I'm way lower on, like he's... Like it senses like QB9. I don't have it in front of me, but it's in the top 10. I have him at QB 16. I just don't think like people just want to buy into the Kyler Murray rushing upside. I just don't think it's there anymore because I just don't think it's something he consistently does anymore. Like sure he could rush for 500, 600 yards, but like I just don't think he wants to do that anymore. I think he wants to kind of play like a regular real quarterback. That it kind of hurts his downside. I think people put too much stock in the Kyler Murray running ability than what he actually puts out there anymore.
Yeah, I see what you're saying, but last year he had 575 rushing yards, 5 touchdowns. It's the most rushing yards he's had since his 2nd year in the NFL. I still think he's content doing that. I think it's going to be very similar to what he did last year.
Yeah. Michael Wilson. Yeah. Like, I would love to see them bring in another option at wide receiver 2. Like, I like Michael Wilson, but he's not a needle mover at a wide receiver 2, and then nobody behind.
I don't even know if he's nobody. I think he's like a really good wide receiver 4. Yeah. I don't even think he's a 3. He's just, they need another body in that room. He's a great wide receiver, but I don't think he's going to be a guy. He doesn't
give you a ton of upside. He's like a 500-yard guy like max every year.
Yeah. He's a good guy to have in the room, but he's not a guy you can rely on.
But the problem is Zay Jones, Greg Dortch are the guys after him, and they're way below him in the pecking order of talent. Like Greg Dortch, sure, he's involved when he's out there, but he's more just a catch, fall down guy. And Zay Jones hasn't been good in 3 years. So I would be way more comfortable with Arizona if they had like another option. I know Trey McBride's there, but if they brought in another like true blue wide receiver to pair with Marv and McBride to really open things up, but it's not there.
It's not there right now, but come trade deadline, there's always receivers that get moved constantly.
And if they're competing, they'll be out there potentially.
And I would expect them to be in the market for a wide receiver at that point, and they come cheap at that point too. Like even in the offseason, George Pickens got dealt for nothing. Debo got dealt for nothing. They can go out there and get themselves a couple of guys that are better than what they have for sure.
And then the only piece we really didn't talk about is Trey Benson. How do you feel about Benson here? And there's talks that they want to use him more, and honestly, that's best for James Conner. He's
also looked really good.
Yeah, last year was the first time James Conner's ever completed a season. So he's not a guy that you could throw. Like, he has the body for the most part to, like, he could tote the ball 230, 240 times. It's just he's going to end up missing a game or two, which is normal for running backs, but it seems like wear and tear does catch up to him at some point. Whereas if they kind of lighten his load, Trey Benson could be an occasional flex kind of player and give the offense a little extra juice, gives them the weapon that they don't have in Michael Wilson to get out there on the field. I would love to see them, utilize Benson a little bit more, kind of use like a 60-40 split between the two of them, and that does hurt James Conner a little bit, but we'll see how it goes, because usually coaches say this thing and it doesn't happen. Look in Tennessee, they're consistently, Brian Callahan's telling us this is a 50-50 running back room, and it's always just been Tony Pollard.
Yeah, and I think that falls back onto Spears hasn't showed that he can be consistent. Benson has the draft capital with this coaching staff. He's looked amazing in camp. He was our RB1 in last season's class. Obviously, that's not a normal running back class because he was like a second or third round kind of talent guy. I really like Benson a lot, though. I don't think he's going to be used enough for fantasy, but he's going to be used enough to eat into James Conner's fantasy a little bit. But he's going to be really involved in this offense, I think. I don't think he's going to, like I said, not have a huge fantasy impact, but real life-wise, Trey Benson's going to be out there a bunch for the Cardinals, and I think he's going to be really good.
Yeah, Benson was really the beneficiary of a poor running back draft class. Like, I don't even know if he would have been in my top 5 or 6 had he been in this class.
I think that would have been the range he entered the conversation. It was like, oh, maybe he's like 5, maybe he's 6, maybe 7, but it wouldn't have been higher than that for sure.
Yeah. And finally, San Francisco, they finished at 6-11 last year, banged up all season. They have the easiest schedule in the NFL, and their win total is set at 10.5. You obviously love Christian McCaffrey. He is your RB2 on the year. I love Brock Purdy. He was my fantasy darling. I'm still very much in on Brock Purdy. I think he is the focal point of the passing game. I'm not worried about the lack of weapons. If you want to hear more about that, go listen to the Fantasy Darling episode. You will hear me spout off that I think Brock Purdy is the maker of those two guys, not the other way around. Pearsall and Jennings are both interesting. I like taking dart throws on both of them. I think they're both values on where they're going. George Kittle, obviously, in the fourth round, fourth round, steal. Like, lock in, easy tight end 3 after the 2 big ones in Bowers and McBride. And he could even finish tight end 1. It wouldn't be surprising. And if you want to pick Brandon Ayuk at the end of your draft, throw him on pup. I'm cool with that too. Like, the Niners offense has pieces that do excite me. Robert Saleh, you've brought it up, he's back. So defense should theoretically be improved despite the fact that they were not great last year. But again, Niners, they're always banged up. And you want to say like, oh, if they're healthy this year, they'll take a step in the right direction. It's just they're never healthy for some reason. But easy schedule. I like the pieces around them. I think this is a really good football team at the end of the day. They got a great head coach. They got a great defensive coordinator. And they have the pieces, bearing health, to be better. They traded for Brian Robinson. So if Christian McCaffrey does go down, you do have a viable starting running back after him. Like, I love Isaac Guerrero. He's more of a change of pace, RB2 type guy. He's not a guy you want as your RB1, whereas Brian Robinson can tote that load, and then Guerrero can spill him if, God forbid, Christian McCaffrey gets hurt again.
Yeah, no, you said everything that I would say for sure they are the other team I think can compete with the Rams for the division. The Niners are my likely candidate to go from last place to first place in the division. I have the Niners winning the division. We'll get to that, obviously, but their schedule is so juicy, dude. It's insane. And that's how it should be. Last place teams should have really easy schedules unless you're the New York Giants and you just get fucked by the NFL and have the hardest schedule in 15 years. Yeah, and we play Philly and the Commanders twice a year. I get why our schedule is hard. It's just dog shit. But I like the Niners a lot. I'm not high on Purdy like you are, but I ended up snagging him in a couple of leagues because I punted quarterback a bunch. And at the end of the day, he's a really safe streaming option. And I found myself getting a lot of Niners guys. I have a lot of stakes in McCaffrey, obviously, shocking. I found Ricky Pearsall fell in a couple of drafts. I scooped him up. I got Kittle in a league or two. I am very in on the Niners offense. I think their defense is going to be improved from last year with Robert Saleh. I like them, dude. I like the Niners a lot. I'm not usually in on the Niners per se, but this is the year I do really like the Niners. Not Purdy per se, but everything around Brock Purdy I am in love with.
Mm-hmm. All right. How do you see this division shaping out?
I just said the Niners. I have the Niners at the top. I had them a game over the Rams. So Niners, Rams, Arizona, Seattle.
Niners, Rams, Seattle, Arizona.
Yeah, which makes sense. Yeah, I those last two teams can obviously be flip-flopped, and you're in on the Seattle more than I am, and I'm actually a little bit in on Arizona per se. I think they can win 8-9 games.
Okay. Who are your 7 playoff teams in the NFC?
From the NFCs.
I wanted to bring this up when we talked about Parsons. The Packers, you had them finishing 3rd when we did our NFC North. Obviously, they didn't have Micah Parsons at the time. You had Detroit, Minnesota, Green Bay. Do they move up? Did they move up in your... No, still 3rd place. Okay.
No. I still like the Vikings and the Lions a little bit more.
Okay.
So I get that that's going to be a hot take, and the Green Bay is the hottest team in the NFL right now, but I don't have them making the playoffs in the NFC. So the NFC
the playoffs.
East... Yeah, I have you guys making the playoffs over them. We'll get there. East was the Eagles, West was the Niners, South was the Bucks, North was the Lions, and then my wildcard teams are the Rams, the Commanders, and the Vikings. Those are my 7 teams.
Okay.
Packers are the first team out, obviously. I have them tied with Minnesota, record-wise.
Yeah.
You guys got the bump, though.
I said it during our NFC North division preview that the Minnesota Vikings will win the NFC during the regular season. They will be the number 1 seed, and I have that. Vikings as the 1 seed, Philadelphia at the 2 seed, Tampa Bay at the 3 seed, San Francisco at the 4, Green Bay at the 5, the Rams at the 6. The Seattle Seahawks are the final team to make the playoffs. Washington and Detroit both missing out.
That's a take.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we both have Buffalo for the AFC.
Mm-hmm. Still do.
Yes, still do. Yes, I agree. Who's your NFC representative?
Go Birds, baby. Go Birds. Back-to-back years of Philadelphia representing the NFC in the playoffs for the Super Bowl. I don't love it. I'm not an Eagles fan, but my God, if you guys go the last 2 years of the podcast, big Eagles guy here. But I don't know. I just think they're easily the best team in the NFC. I like their coaches. I know you don't. I love their offense. They got the best defensive football, arguably.
I like their coaching staff. I don't like their head coach.
But it's all there for Philadelphia just to repeat what they did exactly. On the back of Saquon Barkley, hopefully he stays healthy. Jalen Hurts, in my eyes, is an elite quarterback, especially when it comes to fantasy football. You give that man the best offensive line of football, 2 amazing receivers, a phenomenal elite defense. It's all written in the stars right there for Philadelphia.
Yeah, Landon Dickerson is going to be ready to go week 1, so that's big for them. Huge. In the interior.
Yep.
Who do you have winning, Buffalo or Philadelphia?
Up until 20 seconds ago, it was Buffalo. I'm giving it to Philadelphia.
Okay, a repeat.
Back-to-back Super Bowl champs.
All right. My NFC team is not Philadelphia. I would love love for a Minnesota Buffalo Super Bowl.
Oh, one of you guys, about time you win, and it just keeps
Yeah.
tying. It's a
Never
never-ending
is.
Super Bowl. It's not meant to be.
But I don't think it's going to be Minnesota. San Francisco, they're juicy. They got a great coach, Kyle Shanahan. I love Brock Purdy. It's not them either. Green Bay, they're the hot team. Nope.
Where are you going with this?
It is going to be Baker Mayfield and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers going up against the Buffalo Bills in the Super Bowl. Baker, I love this offense. Emeka Egbuka, Mike Evans, when Chris Godwin's back, Jalen McMillan, when he's back, this core runs deep. They have a deep running back room. Rashad White, Bucky Irving, Sean Tucker, really good offensive line. When Tristan Wirfs is out there, he's one of the best tackles in football. Defensively, Vita Vea, Antoine Winfield Jr., they got studs on that side of the ball. They have a underrated, just quiet to himself head coach in Todd Bowles, who coaches defense like no other. Offensive coordinators don't seem to matter. They just rotating door here. Dave Canales was here. He's gone. He's a head coach in Carolina. Liam Cohen was here last year. He's a head coach in Jacksonville. Step on up the Grizzler, Josh Grizzard. I don't see the offense changing too much. I'm confident in this team offensively. I'm confident in this team defensively. I think this is one of the most sound teams in football. They play in a team-friendly division. And I think come playoff time, Baker and crew, they're going to get hot. We're once again going to see the Tampa Bay Bucks in the Super Bowl. But they will come up short. It is Buffalo's year. Josh Allen and crew get the job done finally for the city of Buffalo. Rejoice. You can celebrate something for once. I have the Bills over Tampa Bay in this year's Super Bowl.
That would be a great Super Bowl. I love Tampa Bay a lot this year. I really like what they got going on. Their whole offseason, they've just been cooking. I love Todd Bowles, dude. Even like back with the Cardinals, as their DC, dude. He was an amazing coach. He has it. He's a phenomenal coach in general, and as a head coach, he's a leader of men, and he's definitely one of the most disrespected and not talked about head coaches. He's really good at what he does, and I am very excited for the Bucks. I would probably have put them behind the Niners, or right above the Niners. I have the Niners as my 2 seed or 1 seed, something like that, just based off their schedule and their talent, obviously. But I would put the Bucks in the top 3 easily. I wish Stafford was healthy, man. Stafford, I would probably have pushed the Rams.
The Rams,
right with Philadelphia,
the Rams
Super Bowl.
Originally, before all the Stafford stuff came out, they were my NFC Super Bowl pick.
Hell yeah.
And they still could. If Matt Stafford's
for sure
close to 100%, this is a good football team. I just do worry about the back injury. He does take a beating a lot. So I'm going to lean towards a team that's a little bit more healthy in Tampa Bay, who I've been in on all off season. So you got Philadelphia, Buffalo, with Philadelphia winning. I got Buffalo, Tampa Bay, with Buffalo winning. All right. Week 1. Let's run through it. First 2 games.
It's football time, baby.
Yeah, on Thursday, we'll run through the Sunday slate and the Monday game. Today we will do the Thursday night football first game of the year and the Friday Brazil game. So the Dallas Cowboys, they travel to Philadelphia for the first game of the year to take on the Super Bowl champion Philadelphia Eagles. The Eagles are 8.5-point favorites, and over/under set at 47.5. I don't think there's a way Philadelphia loses this game. I just don't.
It's week 1. Anything can happen.
Yeah, I agree.
But I'm definitely more so in the boat of you. I would put it at like 90-10 if I had to do percentages.
Yeah.
Dallas has a very, very small chance of winning this. But that's weird because their owner over the weekend claimed they got better after the trade. So I don't know what's going on there.
We'll see how much Kenny Clark's involvement is going to be. Obviously new to the team. He's got to learn the defensive play calls and whatnot. So I think his time out there is probably a little limited. The Eagles defense is really good. I really I'm worried about starting my Cowboys pieces that aren't Dak and CD. I like George Pickens. I think he's a flex play this week, but I'm not overly comfortable playing George Pickens this week, though. The Eagles CB2, that's a question of who that's going to be, because it looks like Cooper DeJean is going to be, the nickel. So we'll see who that is, whether it's Keely Ringo or
I think Adoree Jackson got listed as starter, I believe.
Yeah, so we'll see, but they haven't officially announced who's starting there. So George Pickens has upside, but it would worry me to comfortably play him. If I have a better option, I would probably go that route. Like if I had Jalen Waddle in him, I think I would lean Waddle. I would lean Devonta Smith on the other side of the ball. If I had both of those guys and I had to play one of them, I'm going to play Devonta Smith over George Pickens.
Yeah.
But I'm not actively looking to get him in my lineup, but he's not someone I'm overly comfortable with, at least week 1. For me, it's Dak,
I would be more
CD, and Jake Ferguson, because tight ends, there's not a ton of startable tight ends.
I would say Ferguson's a more startable tight end than Pickens is as a wide receiver too, for sure.
Agree. Yep.
I think Ferguson's going to be used a bunch. They paid him a lot. I think Ferguson's in line for a huge year, so I'm in on Ferguson. Obviously, CeeDee Lamb, lock him in. None of the running backs for Dallas. Just see how the backfield plays. Because, God forbid, people think it's going to be Javonte Williams. It could be Miles Sanders. It could be
Sanders' revenge game.
Sure. Yeah, it is. I'm worried, per se, about Dak. I think I would lock in CD and Ferguson for sure. Dak, if you drafted another quarterback with him, like me personally, I have JJ McCarthy and Dak Prescott in our main home league. Right now, I'm leaning JJ McCarthy. I'm not going to lie to you. And it's going to be hard to stick to that because I get it. It's, oh man, week 1, it's here, Thursday night. I could have my quarterback going right now, and it's going to be really hard not to just be like, oh, I'm going to do that. I love that. I don't know, man. I trust JJ versus Chicago Monday night more than I trust Dak Prescott Thursday night in the opener versus Philadelphia. It could just go like really, really bad for Dallas week 1. It could just implode instantly. Mm-hmm. And then I'm just like, shit, that was my quarterback.
Yeah. I like Dak. Like I hold him in the boat where I probably, if I drafted Dak, I don't think I have any Dak Prescott shares.
Who would you play? Would you play Dak or JJ McCarthy?
I would play McCarthy.
One of them starts week 1 and one ends week 1.
I don't like my quarterback going Thursday nights unless it's, one of the elite guys. So, and there is a chance that it could just be a blowout and Philly wins this game 35-7 and Dak Prescott has 1 touchdown, 2 interceptions, and it's not ideal. Jadon Blue did avoid the injury report, so he's good to go here. I actually think if I'm going to take a shot on one of the backs week 1 from them, I think I would Jadon Blue just because Dallas is going to be down, and I would expect him to be out there just because he gives them juice that Miles Sanders and Javonte Williams don't, but I don't want to play him or the other two either. But I think Jadon Blue gives you like better upside.
I agree. I would start Javonte if I had to start one. I think he's got the better safe option. I don't want a guy on Thursday coming out and, oh my God, this guy got one carry for 0 yards and a catch for 5. And I'm walking out of week 1 with this guy at 1.5 points and it's just obliterated. Where I think Javonte could get 12 carries for 40 yards and maybe a luck touchdown here and there. I think if any of the backs score, it's going to be Javonte. I don't think there's a world where Blue or Miles Sanders score. If Blue scores, it's going to be like a huge 60-yard break-off run. That's how Blue's going to end up getting in the touchdown.
Yeah.
But I don't think that's going to happen versus Philadelphia. I just don't see that happening.
I agree, but I was out on Javonte to begin with, so we see
Javonte differently to begin with. I have so much stock in Javonte, it's crazy this year.
If I would have drafted Javonte, I was also drafting Jadon Blue. I would take both of them, and I would probably lean Jadon Blue. He gives me more upside if I had to start one of them. Philadelphia.
Man, you're crazy. I didn't even want to. I didn't want to draft one Cowboys running back, and you wanted me to draft 2. Oh, boy.
Hey, if you go that zero or hero RB approach, I think Jadon Blue is potential could be this year's Bucky Irving. I think he could just play his way into being the most viable back on this team. But again, I don't think the Cowboys
that would be a fun game to play.
Good.
Who would be this? Yeah, that's fun. I don't know who this year's Bucky Irving would be. I don't think it would be Jadon Blue though. I don't think so.
I think he has the path.
I think opportunity wise, I would say opportunity wise, it's probably him. I don't hold those guys anywhere near the same talent. I love Bucky coming out.
No, me either.
But that's what I'm saying. I don't think Jadon Blue's that good to do that. I don't think he's good enough to do that. if Cam Scadaboo would count, I would probably say Scadaboo. He was a day 4 pick or
Day
day
4.
3 pick, round 4. Yeah, he went after the 7th. No, round 3 or day 3, round 4.
Yeah,
I think Scadaboo could easily take over our backfield.
Yeah. I don't. Tyrone Tracy staying over here.
Mm-hmm.
Philadelphia, play all your Eagles. Jalen Hurts, you're not going to bench him.
Philadelphia's the exact same as they were when we did Philadelphia in the division breakdown.
Yep. Play A.J. Brown. Play Devonta Smith, who's like the most underrated guy in fantasy every year. He just continues to be lowly drafted.
I was in multiple leagues over the weekend where Dallas Goedert got drafted before Devonta Smith. And I'm like, what the fuck just happened? I was shell-shocked.
My fiance did a league, and she drafted Devonta in the 4th or 5th round, 5th or 6th round. It was a 14-team league, and it said that was her worst pick.
That's insane. I don't understand it at all.
The
Give me Smith every day in fantasy, dude. It's so crazy, dude. He's so good.
Yeah. Dallas Goedert, hey, I mean, if you punted tight end, you could play him. Like, honestly, in my boat, in our home league, I punted tight end. I missed out on all of them. And I'm rocking with Jonnu Smith week 1. I would probably rather have Dallas Goedert.
Yeah, man. Give me Goddard over Jonnu for sure. I think Goddard's a good streaming option this week. I don't love that he's going Thursday.
Yeah.
Because you don't have really time to really think about other breakdown and matchups and whatnot. But if Goddard's the tight end you have right now and he's your streaming option, just plug him in, see how it goes. It's week 1. You can't really predict much of anything. But now if Hunter Henry's out there on the market, go get Hunter Henry. He's a week 1 god, boy. So
yeah.
I would easily start Hunter Henry over Dallas Goedert week 1 and 2.
Yeah. I assume we're both going to Philadelphia here.
Yeah, for sure. Go Birds. The 8.5. Give me the spread too. I'm not a big. I'll take the spread. I'll take the 8.5.
Yeah, I agree. And then Friday in Brazil, the Kansas City Chiefs take on division rival the Los Angeles Chargers. The Chiefs are 3-point.
I'm so excited.
3-point favorites and over under
so excited.
45.5. So lower than the Eagles Cowboys game.
That's because both teams have defenses.
we talked about Worthy and Kelsey. You're going to play them, especially with no Rashee Rice. It really then comes down to Pat Mahomes and Isaiah Pacheco. How do you feel about them?
Mahomes, you drafted, you're going to start him. Everyone that drafted Mahomes is obviously starting Mahomes week 1. There's not many teams that drafted Mahomes and then drafted a good enough backup to start over Mahomes week 1. Would you start Mahomes or Kyler Murray?
Mahomes. Murray's playing the Saints. I don't know if that sways you at all.
Oh, God. Why would you draft both of these? That's such high draft capital in quarterbacks.
Because someone in our league did that. That's why I brought it up.
Give me Kyler Murray over Mahomes. Okay. High rushing upside.
Yeah. How do you feel about Pacheco?
I'm in on Pacheco. He was a lower. I think I'm at 25. Mm-hmm. I think just plug him in to see how he goes this week. Obviously, you're not going to have crazy high expectations for Pacheco week 1. I get he had the serious leg injury last year, and the Chargers defense it's really good, but I think Pacheco could easily find his way into the end zone this week.
Agree.
I love that we're just talking football. It's crazy to say that, Mick. I think this guy can find his way into the end zone this week. I love that football's right here.
On games that matter, not like preseason stuff. Like, if this guy could find the end zone in preseason, he might make the team. Undrafted gem, Efton Chisholm for the Patriots. I'm in on Pacheco. I like Pacheco this week. I think he's got a good RB2 floor. I like Kelsey, obviously, you're going to play him. I like Xavier Worthy as well. The Chargers secondary is a little shaky, so I think Worthy could have a big game this week. Mahomes, I'm not thrilled about it, but like you said, if you drafted him, you're starting him. And then from the Chargers side, Najee Harris, revved up. He's probably playing on Friday. He is probably playing on Friday. So how does that make you feel about Omari and Hampton, who is your fantasy darling, who we have just grown over time here during the fantasy? He has just moved up our boards. I had him over ADP when we did our initial rankings, and I moved him even higher after the Najee stuff. We ended up on the same line. I think we had it both at RB13. Does Najee being there Friday worry you at all for Hampton's upside week 1? Because obviously you're going to play him.
No, you're playing him regardless because where he got drafted in most leagues, it was like the third, maybe maybe back in the second if people were spicy. But that's a little bit rich for me, to be honest. But the third was the perfect spot for Hampton, so you're starting him. Najee hasn't had any contact all season, so I don't think he's going to be eating into much of anything week one. Sure, he's going to be out there, but I don't expect it to be a full, like, ready-to-go workload for Najee.
Mm-hmm.
Hampton's still that guy. I still see RB1 potential for Hampton week one. Most likely RB2. That's where he's probably going to finish, 12 to 24 range, and I'll take that any day, first game for an NFL rookie.
Yeah, I imagine they'll use Najee in like short down situations, maybe at the goal line to kind of start. So he might vulture a touchdown from Hampton. He might take a touchdown, yeah. But I'm locking Hampton in my lineup for sure. Ladd McConkey as well. I'm going to play him. Tough matchup. Trent McDuffie really good in Kansas City. Mm-hmm. So maybe temper your expectations for him. Probably not playing Keenan Allen. I would start Justin Herbert over Pat Mahomes, but I hold Herbert kind of in the same boat as Mahomes. I'm not excited to start either of them, but I would lean Herbert just because the Chiefs could get off to the quick start, so that the Chargers might have to pass a little bit more. But I hold them in the same boat. They're low-end QB1s to me.
I agree. I would probably lean Mahomes if I had to take one of them.
Okay. There's no one else really on Quentin Johnston? You playing him or Keenan Allen? Who you?
Keenan Allen. Johnson just cleared concussion protocol today or yesterday, so he's going to be out there, but he hasn't practiced the last couple of days, and they went out and got Keenan Allen for a reason. I don't expect him to be 100% go because he only joined the team 2 weeks ago, but I think he's going to have more manufactured touches than Hughes would ever have in a game, and I think he's still going to eat 4 or 5 catches. So in a PPR league, you could be looking at 5 catches, 60 yards, and that's 11 points. Maybe he can get into the end zone.
Yeah. Do you going to play Najee or no?
No. There's not a world I'm playing Najee.
Yeah. And the Chargers have no tight end worth talking about. All right. Who wins this Friday Brazil matchup? Kansas City, LA. The Chargers were your division pick. Neither of us picked the Chiefs to win the division, so where are you going here?
I want to lean Kansas City, but I'm just going to stick with the Chargers as my team for the AFC. I picked them for a reason. I think they're a really good overall team, and I think week one they're going to show up and they're going to show people that they're here. Then they're going to be legit contenders. And it's going to be a really good game, obviously, because it's Kansas City. It's going to be a 1-point score game. Give me the Chargers, though.
Yeah, I'm also going with the Bolts. I think the Chargers win this game.
Nice.
It could be a last-second field goal. It's going to be close. It's probably not going to hit the over on 45.5. So, hard-nosed football game. It'll be the more competitive game of the first 2 games of the year. But I'm going with the Chargers there over Kansas City. All right, our Thursday and Friday previews were brought to you by our affiliates over at W Energy and Finley Hats. W Energy, clean, better energy, jitterless energy, no crash, no artificial dyes, no sweeteners, none of that stuff. Good, clean energy. They have a website, w.gg, or you can use their app. Just search W in your app store. It'll be there. They got a ton of flavors. They got merch, a ton of cool stuff, shakers, whatnot. So check them out. Use the code DRAFTEDUP, and you'll get a nice 10% discount anytime, anywhere. And then Finley Hats. Hats built for good times and long times. They have a lifetime warranty. If your hat is damaged or destroyed, they'll replace it or repair it absolutely free. They have free shipping across the U.S. In the bio or in the description of the video, there will be a link. You can click that, get a 15% off your first purchase over at Finley Hats. They got a ton of cool designs. They do weekly drops every Friday. They do have t-shirts, shorts, all kinds of stuff, hoodies, as well as hats. They got the Stampede laces, which are customizable. They got the little pocket on the inside that you can put some cash in if you don't want to carry around your wallet. I know Nick and our buddy K-Dog have the things in your pocketism. They don't like carrying things in their pockets, so if you want to just throw a couple 20s in your hat, you can. You don't have to worry about your wallet. So check out our friends over at Finley Force, or Finley Hats. Join the Finley Force. And like I said, in the description, click that link and you'll get 15% off your first purchase. And then, of course, W Energy, be better, eat that dub.
Hell yeah, dude. Yeah, dude.
Yeah.
My tism shines hard when things are in my pockets, dude. I cannot stand that shit. Oh, my
Yeah. All
pocket's
right.
empty. All times.
Okay, I think that's a wrap.
I think that's it, dog.
Yeah.
I really think that's it. I think we just ended with our ad sponsors. I think that's really it.
We'll throw a little random shoot the shit. How about Arch Manning on Saturday? Not the best start. College football off to a roll. He looked kind of shaky against Ohio State.
I think he legally has to change his name. He's not even a Manning at this point. That was such a dog shit performance, but nah, people are ragging him.
Yeah,
this is why he's not coming out this year. This is what we have been saying.
Yep.
He's not ready.
Yep, and the games he did play
honestly doesn't matter
last year,
but he
weren't against the caliber of Ohio State.
No.
So
no.
Ohio State's defense has a ton of guys. Sonny Styles is one of my favorite linebacker prospects coming out. They got Caleb Downs, who's arguably a top 10 prospect in this
best
class.
Defensive prospect.
Yeah. So they're no Joe Schmoes over there, and Texas hung around, but not a great performance from Arch to start. So we'll see the bounce back there. Cade Klubnik, another guy, not the best performance to start his college season for Clemson against LSU. He was outplayed by Garrett Nussmeier,
too,
who was just
Clemson had a chance to. I would say Nussmeier. I would say he looked fine. I like Nussmeier's performance.
He was better than Klubnik at Manning, but I wouldn't say his game was better than what he was putting out
Carson
there last
Beck.
year, though. Carson Beck,
he wasn't no Carson Beck, baby.
Sellers.
Oh, Sellers, baby,
great.
Shined.
Yeah,
for sure.
So quarterback shine.
For sure.
Jeremiah Love, when Notre Dame was using him, dude was bullying the Miami defense. But
for sure, and I don't want to hype up Miami, but Miami looked really good versus arguably the best secondary in college football, and Carson Beck ripped them apart the first two halves, or the first half. And their defense looked way better than I could ever imagine. I was worried about Miami's defense. They really showed up and played Miami hard, and I think they can compete this year.
Yeah. It'll be interesting. A lot of fun games this past weekend there in college football as well. So I figure that's where we end the show. Do a little quick college
cool
football.
With that. Did you see Alabama's new head coach, the guy that took over after Saban? I'm blanking on his name.
Yeah, Kalen DeBoer, who was Michael Penix's head coach. That guy owes Michael Penix so much money for getting him that Alabama job.
Yeah, that guy with Alabama has lost more games where they were 10-point favorites than Nick Saban did in his whole career there.
Yeah. It's crazy.
That's bad. That's it's not looking good there. But I'm hyped for college, dude.
Alabama upset by Florida State, who was abysmal last year. But they got Tommy Castellanos from Boston College. Yeah, he did look good. He had some games in Boston College too.
Florida State looked good.
He flashed. A little small guy, but they have a freshman running back whose name is slipping my mind, but he was bullying the Alabama defense. He looked great. But I can't wait to dive into a little more stuff for college football there, and we'll throw these in here every couple episodes where we'll just shoot the shit about college, and we'll start the prospect spotlight series a little earlier this year. But that'll do
for sure. We got any good games for what's technically week 2 of college football? Michigan, Oklahoma. That'll be a good game.
John Mateer, baby.
That's really the only matchup where two ranked teams play, but LSU's playing again, Arizona State, Alabama, Florida, with Clemson, Oregon. We got some high-powered offenses rolling next week, so I'm excited for college football. It sucks we will not be around to watch any of it.
Yeah. Busy weekend this week. All right, guys.
Another one.
That's Drafted Up
Another
Podcast.
one.
Yeah, we'll catch you guys later this week to do our Sunday breakdowns as well. Oh, Bill Belichick.
Hell yeah. Oh my God, NC looked terrible. They got destroyed by TCU. Was it 48-14?
Yeah, I think my favorite meme was when they were down 41-7, and it was ironically, when Bill Belichick was 41 years old, his girlfriend was 7.
That is funny.
So,
they got molly-whopped by TCU, dude. That is so funny.
Bill Belichick, the most points he's ever given up in an NFL game, his team, 47. He gave up 48 his first game in Chapel Hill with UNC. Yeah.
Just getting it out of the way early.
Yeah.
Just letting it go.
We'll see. We'll see about that. All right. That's it. Now we're done. Drafted Up Podcast. We appreciate all the support. Support our affiliates over at W Energy, Finley Hats. Support the show by liking, rating, subscribing, reviewing, sharing wherever you watch or listen, Apple, Spotify, YouTube, any other apps. We're there. Search Drafted Up Podcast. We appreciate it. We will catch you guys on Thursday as we break down the rest of week 1 of actual football.
We made it,
guys.
baby. We made it. Bye.